First of all, thank you for participating. And for those of you out there watching and listening, this is the first episode of Stay in Your Lane. I'm hosting it. My name's John Maley. We have two participants today that will be acting as a panel. What percentage of drivers are female in the industry today?
I'm going to go with A.
You're going with A. You think it's 3.9.
Yeah.
How about you, Todd?
Well, like I said, I wrote my answers down in advance, so I knew you were going to ask this one, John. I believe
Googled it.
confident. I believe confident. I believe confidently it's probably closer to 6%. I'm going to go with C.
You are correct.
It pays to do preparation.
Or sit there Googling on
And
your
Google
computer.
it while I'm answering.
We're giving you So for today, we want to talk about something that I think frustrates everyone in our industry. Something very simple, and we don't understand why it continues to happen. That's unloading fees, lumper charges, things of this nature.
The only people that seem to make out good with lumper fees are the lumpers and the receivers. So I guess my question has always been, how did they get so ingrained in our industry?
Well, from my history, it wasn't across the whole industry until the past 25 or 30 years. A lot of locations didn't charge unloading, didn't have lumper fees. I think it was chosen as a profit center. And it's confusing to me because when you contract or you make arrangements to purchase something from a shipper, their job is to bring it to you in a truck, and your job is to have facilities and manpower, et cetera, to unload the truck, correct?
That's my understanding, yes.
So, where's the shakedown?
Is there things that the shipper can do? Sure. Could you maybe customize pallets more at the shipper end so they can go right into the receiver's locations? Now, you could, again, some products you can do that. B and C items you probably can't because you don't have enough critical mass.
Well, and at $11 or $12 a pallet in today's market, there's a pallet shortage. So if someone takes them in at half height and stacks them in their warehouse at half height, they need twice as many pallets.
Sure. No, there's a lot of inefficiencies, absolutely.
Yes. Subject is going to be, what does it mean to be a shipper of choice?
Well, you know what, John, I'll jump off the bridge first. I think being a shipper of choice is, we have tried inside of our company to make sure that we become a shipper of choice by understanding that whether it's an asset-based carrier or it's a broker relationship, that every one of those drivers and every one of those trucks is an asset that we need to make sure that we treat them with as much professional courtesy as we can, and understand that they're probably as important, and maybe in this day and age more important than the bottling machines that we have and that we have to keep up and running. So it's something we got to have, and we need to treat these people with respect, period.
We get a lot of orders that are set up for failure before we get to them.
Yeah.
Okay? And when that happens, our policy is to reach out to everybody and make sure that everybody's aware this is set up for failure. And it doesn't matter if it's a 4-stop load and we can't, because of what times the receivers are able to accept the deliveries versus what time is planned. There's a gap there. So at some level, there's always going to be some set up for failure before we get orders.
That's a very good point, because we have seen shippers putting visibility, right, as a requirement in the contract with carriers.
Right.
But why not put in the sales contract between the shipper and the consignee?
Right.
Then
Well,
everybody is held accountable.
If it was in the contract that they would have to provide you information ahead of time before anything was deducted, then how many of these 50 to 70%ers would end up being the receiver's waste of time? And would they give up? Because right now, they're able to waste your time. I think we're seeing the impact of the increase in fuel, the inflation that you're speaking of, but also if you're a normal American in the United States right now, your gas bill just doubled in the past 12 months, your fuel bill, and your grocery bill is on the verge of being up 25-35% in the past 12 months across the board.
Yeah.
However, I do think that it wouldn't take much to tighten capacity back up. From
I
here.
would agree. I would agree there. I mean, I'm not going to say the market's fragile, but you get a couple of events, weather events out there, or you could see the market turn pretty quick. The load to truck ratio is gone down considerably in the last couple of weeks. You know, you got 5 loads per truck or 3 loads per truck, whatever that number is, which is pretty much, you know, that's pretty much an even market when it's that low. It's when you get ratios like 12 to 1 or 15 to 1. That's where you get the shortages and the capacity constraints.
How are you doing it to keep and gain drivers in today's market?
Well, one advantage we have is people like working at Lighthouse. That's first and foremost. We've got a group of people that have been here a long time. And they want to retire here. And it reached a point when our wages were not keeping up with the market. And so we had to go back and restructure it and come up with some more money. And all those people were just thrilled to death to have an increase. They weren't actually thinking about going anywhere else.
You know, it is so important, and we are 100% employee owned. So anybody that signs on with, thoughts or designs on long-term employment, it's a huge financial benefit to them. The training side, if one of our employee owners wants to make a transition from what they're doing in the plant or plant support, we can take that person, enroll them in a 4-week driving school, and then bring them in for a 6-week training, actual on-the-ground training with other drivers. It's been hugely successful. We just got an official apprenticeship program with the state of Idaho. We'll start in the next couple of weeks of actually bringing in people that don't have a CDL, employee owners, and we'll open it up to the outside too, to keep the driver pool strong.
I would assume is an expense or a struggle for you guys to overcome is going to be equipment.
Right off the bat, not only equipment, but availability of that equipment and or the parts to keep it up and running. That I think, Dennis, you'd agree, is probably our biggest hurdle right now. Whether the guy's broken down on the road and he needs a subunit, or we just need a rental for a week, the supply of those vehicles seems to have disappeared.
So stuff's not available, and even if you paid a 10 or 15% premium, and you'd be able to utilize that equipment. You wouldn't have to park it for 2 weeks or long periods of time while you're waiting for the product. So there's an additional cost, to look at there. So what do you think the future holds then for equipment? We're seeing a year on tractors, 9 months on trailers.
So trailers, for example, they went up 66% on the cost of a new trailer. So when we order bundles of trailers, lots of trailers essentially, it hurts, right? So now, but the other discerning part is we'll actually get the pricing 14 weeks prior to we actually get the trailers. So even though we got a quote on the trailer, we'll let you know 14 weeks before you actually get the trailer what the actual price will be.
So today we want to talk about 4Kites. Trying to understand from a tracking and tracing perspective what values it brings to the industry and to shippers versus us as a carrier on the carrier side. Trying to understand where it brings value that maybe we don't see or understand from one side to the other.
First off, as with any industry, it's customer service. To be able to, proactively let our customers know if there's an issue with their delivery along the way. Again, on-time delivery is always preferred, but we work in the world of logistics and things happen.
I think that most of us didn't see 4Kites on our side of the table. We saw 4Kites for an on-time delivery. We didn't see it as a tool that you could utilize to provide and refute deductions.
When we first looked at the application, we looked at it, like you said, from the on-time service perspective. And as we were doing the ROI for it, we looked at, okay, is there, how can we pay for this thing? So being able to fight the deductions or help mitigate deductions with that, GPS locator information was a crucial part of getting it approved.
It was a big deal, talking about, you had to build up the ROI for the tool. So getting that kind of source of the truth is really big for continuous improvement and keeping moving forward on improving our on-time delivery.
Like I said, up until November, which was a horrible month for us, it was, a bloodbath. I think every trucking company can tell you the same thing. We did a line-by-line itemized to check everything, and everything we're doing was an exact same line that we had had before when it was profitable. The biggest thing that was killing us was fuel. And this is just for October last year, our fuel was $60,000 higher than it was the October the year before.
Today we've got in the blue corner Bob Costello.
Thanks for coming.
He hails from the American Trucking Association. The red corner, Dan North from the Baltimore, Maryland area.
Hi.
Allianz Trade, 27 years, 27-0. So we got two undefeated heavyweights here. Going to be good.
We think it's quite likely we'll enter recession in the second half of this year, maybe a little sooner. Now, the much harder question to answer is, how long is it going to last and how deep it's going to be? Well, we think it's going to be something of a moderate time period. It's since World War II, the average length has been like 11 months. So we're saying 2 quarters, maybe 3.
We've had bloated inventories for a while that retailers in particular have been trying to work off. That has also been a drag on freight. So from the U.S. perspective, I agree with everything Dan said, but from a goods part of the economy, I think we have been in a recession. And I think the inventory cycle's getting closer to sort of turning the other way, not necessarily booming, but I think the retailers are getting close to being where they want to be. And so we may actually see some headwinds at least not be as strong here in the second half of the year for freight, which would be a very interesting dynamic if that in fact takes place.
Got kicked up to the Supreme Court of the United States, who denied to hear it. And then so it goes now back to the district court to do what the appellate court had told it to do, which was to dissolve the injunction. However, a new party has come into this case.
Oh, IDA.
Yeah, and they are they're on fire. I mean, they filed for an injunction not based on F4A, but based on the Dormant Commerce Clause. It's a theory that was raised early but never litigated really.
I'm going to send you a tree.
A tree?
You need to plant a tree.
I plant trees all the time.
I know. I'm going to send you one, and you can call it Windy. Your willow tree, Windy Willow.
Oh, is it a willow?
Yes.
A weeping willow?
A weeping willow. We'll send you a tree.
Oh. Are you going to send somebody to come pick up everything that falls down off of it?
No.
Nick, enjoyed it very much, sir. Appreciate
Likewise.
it. Sterling Solutions, everyone. Give them a shout if you want to know anything about cold storage. All right?
Great.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thanks, John.